Awesome show!
Hi everyone, Hungry Reader here. And if you're like me, you were a member of the Fraggle Rock Book Club. You know, those mail-order book clubs were big business back in the pre-internet era. Or at least they bought enough advertisement that it seemed like they were. Let's see, there was the Wildlife Treasury cards, the Sweet Pickles preschool bus.
Sweet Pickles is great!
And, oh, who could forget My Great Recipes?
So I know how long I'll be in the kitchen.
Look, isn't that the commercial?
Call now to start your collection of My Great Recipes.
But I was part of the Fraggle Rock Book Club. Not because I need a little extra oomph to start reading, of course. I was a member because we didn't have HBO, so I couldn't watch Fraggle Rock. You know, you kids in the northern US who could get the Canadian stations, you don't appreciate how lucky you were to have Fraggle Rock for free. Of course, you know, we probably could have afforded HBO for what all my parents spent on the Fraggle Rock books, but who can fathom how parents work? Fraggle Rock was one of Jim Henson's most ambitious brainstorms. He wanted to actually make a show that would bring about world peace, or at least teach values that would help it come about. In Fraggle Rock, there were three very different races: the industrious little bug people called Doozers, the shaggy ogre-like Gorgs, of which there were only three, and the titular Fraggles. And what's a Fraggle, you may ask? Well, let's have a look. The book that came for free with your membership in the book club was, of course, What's a Fraggle? What's a Fraggle, you might giggle. It's a very silly name. I don't think I've ever seen one. Are they wild or are they tame? What's a Fraggle, you might question, with a wiggle of your nose. I know all the animagals, but I've never heard of those. What's a Fraggle is clearly influenced by Dr. Seuss, as Louise Geekow acknowledged in an interview years later. She also revealed that this is one of those incredibly rare unicorn books that was written in 5 minutes, and the version published here is the first draft. Gobo is a brave explorer, crossing streams and climbing rocks, while Boober would much rather stay at home and wash his socks. Outside of the text, the illustrations in this book really stand out even by the excellent standards of the Fraggle Rock books. It really nails the cavernous atmosphere of the show, not to mention all the great cave creatures flying around. I mean, look at these! And look at this thing! And look at oh my god, what are these? I want one! So this book pretty much followed a straight path directly from the author's brain to your hand. Some other Fraggle Rock books didn't have that option, though. There was one book that was originally published as Boober Fraggle's Celery Souffle, and I don't know if they decided that was a boring name or if souffle was too hard of a word for kids, but later they changed it to Danger, Boober Cooking, which I think was the right decision. On the other side of the spectrum, we have If I Were King of the Universe, starring Junior Gorg. I had this book as a kid, but this is not the book I had. I'm hard-pressed to say it's even the same book, because the illustrations are all the same, but the text has been completely rewritten. My original copy was in rhyme, much like What's a Fraggle, but this one has been rewritten to be in all prose.
Ma would serve me breakfast in bed, and I could eat all the things she says are bad for me. I would stay up late every night and make Ma and Pa go to bed before 9. They would obey me because I would be Junior Gorg, king of the universe. And then you know, I can't think of anything to do next.
The Fraggle Rock books presented a great opportunity to expand on the culture as seen in the show. For example, The Cave of the Lost Fraggle shows that Fraggles actually believe in ghosts. And then there's this one, The Legend of the Doozer Who Didn't, which is actually a scare story told by parent doozers to their children about the terrible fate that awaits you if you don't expend your every ounce of your stamina on working every day. He began growing fur and a tail, and so tall that he hardly resembled a doozer at all. A chilling thought indeed. Not exactly in line with Jim Henson's original plan to promote empathy between the races, but... Finally, we've got Moki's Birthday Present, a fairly universal story about white elephant gifts and trying to preserve your friend's feelings.
Boy, that's some present Red made you. I know, it's pretty terrible, isn't it? But how can I tell Red that? It makes me look like a pile of stewed tomatoes. Exactly.
Speaking of unwanted gifts, though, the Fraggle Rock Book Club was not one of those ones where there's no minimum to buy, you can cancel any time. You had to buy the first 4 shipments of books before they'd let you stop. However, it turns out there was in fact a maximum to buy. I was a member of the Fraggle Rock Book Club for a very long time. So long, in fact, that they ran out of Fraggle books to send me and started sending me Muppet Babies books. Though I am a lifetime Muppet fan, I wasn't actually a huge Muppet Babies follower. It was a major hit without me, though. At one point, CBS ran it for an hour and a half every Saturday. There had actually been a plan to make a whole block of Muppet cartoons featuring wraparound bumpers with characters called the Little Muppet Monsters, but it didn't pan out and the space was filled by more Muppet Babies episodes to no loss in rating. Now that's super bastardization. But it wasn't the Fraggles, so after a few Muppet Babies books, I canceled my subscription. However, I've picked up some of the Muppet Babies books since then, and I think I missed out on some pretty good stuff. Baby Fozzie is Afraid of the Dark takes an interesting perspective on this common childhood issue. Kermit literally takes Fozzie around the world and shows him that it's daylight on the other side. Baby Kermit's old blanket doesn't just talk about giving up your security blanket, it also makes a case for repurposing and how many uses an old keepsake can have. Something that someone like me, who holds on to his old books forever, can really identify with. But, in my opinion, the best of the Muppet Babies books is the one that features my favorite Muppet character. It's called What's a Gonzo? I've always identified a lot with Gonzo. Much like him, I've been different from everyone else, for one reason or another, all my life. And on those rare occasions when I'm with other people like me, I make myself different. Sometimes this means making things harder for yourself, like, say, going to Bombay to become a movie star, or starting video reviews of books, even though any sane person would do it through a blog instead. But even different people like me sometimes once in a while wonder if maybe there's a square hole for us after all. One day, Gonzo, who, by the way, is apparently an orphaned baby who lives with other infant Muppets in a nursery, is consumed with curiosity about exactly what he is. The others are all animals of some kind, and he's clearly not human. Granted, no one knows what Scooter and Skeeter are either, but at least there's 2 of them. The only person that looks like Gonzo is the one he sees in the mirror, so he steps through to meet him, and finds himself in a world of all Gonzos, each one weirder than the last. They're all very friendly, but none of them can answer his big question. Some are more helpful than others.
I've traveled zillions of miles through the galaxy, and there's one thing I know for certain. You're definitely not a babbling, blue-eyed beast from the planet Bingo.
Oh, that's a relief. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to tell him whether or not he was a cigar box Frackle. A whole entourage of hook-nosed blue people follows Gonzo all over town, posing the question to the smartest Gonzoids they know. Finally, they reach a science lab where the great Garbanzo has the final answer.
Gonzo, this is my onzometer. Describe yourself. It will tell you what you are.
I'm blue with some feathers on my head, and I'm very handsome. The onzometer sat silently.
I think it needs more information.
Gonzo thought a little longer.
Oh, this isn't so easy. You can brush your teeth and sing the Itsy Bitsy Spider at the same time,
pointed out Zonzo. You like tuna fish sandwiches with ketchup, said Monzo. You can blow a bubble shaped like a pepperoni pizza, added Professor Ronzo. One by one, Gonzo's friends spoke. The onzometer began to make a whirring noise. At last, a tiny slip of paper popped out of the onzometer. It said,
You are Gonzo.
That's it? asked Gonzo. A second piece of paper popped out of the onzometer. It said,
Isn't that enough?
even in a world of people exactly like him, Gonzo was still an individual. And that's such an important message for kids. You know, when I was a kid, we were told, be yourself, believe in yourself, over and over and over again, until it lost all meaning. It just became another catchphrase like, don't do drugs. So we ignored it. We went looking for someone else to be besides ourselves. We joined gangs and clubs and religions, all looking for something to subsume our identities in. Because life experience had taught us that we shouldn't be ourselves. No one was looking for ourselves. And if that's what your life experience is telling you, you tell your life experience to shut up and do as you're told. Be yourself. Believe in yourself. Because if just one person believes in you... Hang on a second. I think I hear a Muppet Wish Day calling. If just one person believes in you, deep enough and strong enough, believes in you, hard enough and long enough, before you knew it, someone else would think, if he can do it, I can do it. Making it two whole people who believe in you. Why am I in the Muppet Babies nursery? Oh. Oh.